Good afternoon. I'm Doc D.
I'm Michelle.
And we are the Mangums.
We want to welcome you to Straight Talk About the Blended Family.
We appreciate you tuning in to us today, and we pray that we will give you a fresh perspective on how to allow your blended family to mesh and to blend well. Welcome. You have tuned in to Straight Talk About the Blended Family for another week. This show today is going to blow your mind. I want you to stay tuned. I'm Doc D.
I'm Michelle.
And we are the Mangums. Now, you know what we got to do. We got to have a word of prayer before we go forward, but we're really excited, so pray with us. Dear God, we thank you for this amazing day. We thank you for the opportunity just to share straight talk about the blended family with someone else. God, we have an amazing young lady coming on today. And God, we're thankful for her. But God, we ask you, God, just to take full control of what we're going to do and let us have fun in the precious name of your son. Amen.
Amen. So we want to do our thank yous at this time. We want
Yes.
to thank the Lord. First of all, we have to thank God. You know, we have to give him all the glory and the honor just for allowing us to have this platform.
Yes.
We want to thank Lionel Green and the WBGR staff here for their kindness and support. We want to thank our prayer warriors at Imagine Me. We want to thank prayer warriors just all over the United States. We have prayer groups, you know, and so everybody is covering us in prayer and covering the show with prayer. We want to thank our sponsors and our supporters who listen to the show and who share the shows. And we want to encourage you to share it and have a watch party, okay? Because we know today's topic, dating smart, is going to I'm telling you, it's going to benefit you. You're going to get some tips and some pointers, and it's going to open your mind.
Yeah, really. With that being said, I have an announcement. I'm one of the keynote speakers at this conference that's coming up in June. Step Family Conference, Blended with Love. It's going to be phenomenal. Sharon Kelly is kind of the host of this. But she's bringing in some amazing speakers, some amazing clinicians to talk about the blended family, to give you springboards that your step family can be something tremendous. Listen, being in the blended family is not a curse. It's a blessing. You need to get the tools before crisis comes. So when June the 1st, go onto my Instagram, go onto my Facebook page, get the information. They will have daycare services provided for you. It's going to be in Woodbridge, Virginia. But tune in. Stay tuned. Again, June the 1st. Step Family Conference. Blended Family with Love. Thanks.
And we also have another announcement for the Lymphoma Leukemia Society. So we're a part of Team Sir Charles. And the Lymphoma Leukemia Society is raising money for those blood cancers. Yes. And you know, any cancer is, you know, it's not a death sentence, but it's you know, you go through a lot. The process is just, you know, it can be painful and etc. You already know, because I'm sure you know, we've all experienced it in our family. But this year we have 4-year-old Grant and 5-year-old Lucia who are being sponsored because these cancers, the medical bills aren't covered. Everything is not covered under your medical coverage. So that's where the Leukemia Lymphoma Society comes into play. You know, they help subsidize some of these treatments that you have to get. Yeah. So they're going to be having a gala and on June the 1st, and if you would like to support this project by giving a donation, or if you have a business and you want your business to be featured in the souvenir booklet, by all means, you know, the Cancer Society is world known. So I would encourage you to have your place an ad in the souvenir booklet, and you can give us your email. Reach out to my husband's email is drblend, drblend1@gmail.com, and my email is simply pgmm@gmail.com. That's simplypeachym@gmail.com. We will gladly send you the link to support this, and all the funds go to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
We're trying to raise $20,000 to support this amazing endeavor. And so all of your money that you can put in, You can find out more about us. Again,
No amount is too small.
go to my Facebook page, go to my Instagram, any social media outlet I have is talking about this. It's coming fast. June the 1st is really the gala where we're going to come together and we're going to put some clothes on. But we want you to support this amazing, because we never know when one of our family members will come up or be diagnosed with a blood cancer. So I think it's really important that you make a decision to help us out, because we love you and we appreciate you, and we just want to be that arm to allow the LLS to soar this year. Thank you again.
And if you have any questions during our segment today, you may feel free to call in at 301-429-9247. If that line is busy, call on 301-306-7284. We would love to hear from you. I'm sure you may have a question for Linda, and who is our special guest. She's an author, Linda Lowe.
Yes.
And she was raised in Capitol Heights, Maryland. She is the 6th of 7 children and comes from a family filled with free-flowing love. As a teen, she began to realize her interest in learning about relationships, and as a young adult, she decided to read as much as she could on the topic. Her interest grew into a passion for seeing relationships thrive and people becoming their best selves in order to love immensely. Her desire to write Dating Smart, 9 Tips to Transform Your Crazy Dating Life grew out of her personal experience and her love for love. She is in the process of working on her next book, and we will find out about that. But we are going to take a commercial break. And once we come back from that commercial break, Linda Lowe will be right here. She's here in the studio. She will be right here with us.
So, I mean, I got to move, huh?
Yeah, you're going to have to move over to your...
Okay, I had to get to the corner. You put me in the corner. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind.
That's how we do. We put guests in the middle.
Yes, definitely.
So, yes. So we'll be back from our commercial break, and we'll have Linda sitting here, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, we're going to dive in. It's time for you to get some stuff so you can level up. I know my wife said that, but I'm really excited today. We've been knowing Linda for a while, and she's tremendous. But I want you to listen to this before she comes. Understand where your relationship is. Understand where you want it to go, and be a part of it. Take an action plan, and you're going to get some tips how you can take an action plan. A lot of times we in a relationship and we just sit there and we suffer in silence. But take an action plan so you can springboard into something tremendous. We'll be back. So we still rock.
Hey everybody, Michelle Mangum coming to you with a commercial break. Just want to let you know about our books. This book right here is called Blending to Make It, Ingredients for a Successful Blended Family. Now this book is the book that has 3 principles in it: practical, therapeutic, and spiritual. Let me tell you something. If you want your blended family to mesh well together, to blend well together, then this is the book for you. Now, everybody that has read this book, they've made comments on it, and the people that who followed the principles in the book, their families are doing great now. Let me tell you something. We're going to be coming out with a book towards the end of the year that's going to be featuring all those blended family success stories, okay? So stay tuned for that. This book, From the Incubator to the Kingdom, is a book that if you had a troubled past and you have, you're struggling with getting from that past or moving forward, this book right here is the book for you. This book will encourage you, it will uplift you, and it will cause you to be free. This book right here, let me tell you something. If you had a troubled past, this is the book that you need for encouragement. At some point in time this summer, we have a collaborator book that's going to be coming out. Straight talk about the blended family, keeping it 100. We drop it in this book, okay? We drop it raw in this book. So, this is a collaborator effort from me and my husband, Doc D, the blended family specialist. And you stay tuned for this book, because this book right here is going to let anybody know what to expect in the blended family. So if you're not in a blended family and you plan to get in one, this book right here is going to let you know all the ins and outs about the blended family. It's going to be encouraging though. So stay tuned for this book that's going to drop this summer. Now listen, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to our WBGR health and wellness show, Straight Talk About the Blended Family. If you want to get if you want to get one of these books, you can get it on Barnes and Nobles. You can get it on Amazon. There's some other outlets that you can get it on, but there's so many that I can't list all of them right now in this commercial break. But you can reach out to my husband at Dr. Blend 1, the number 1, DRBLEND1 at gmail.com, or me, Simply Peachy, at gmail.com. That's SIMPLYPEACHYMM at gmail.com. And we will be more than happy to meet up with you if you want to sign a book in person, okay? So, God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share it with your friends.
Back. Okay, babe.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
Okay, so we are excited. We have Linda Lowe here in the studio with us. Hey, Linda.
How you doing? We are excited. She is pumped up. Listen,
I am.
She is phenomenal. We're very grateful to have her on our show. She's going to tell you some stuff today. Ladies and gentlemen that are single or that are in a relationship, stay tuned. Get your earphones off of your head and listen, because it's coming live. She about to dive in. And so my wife going to ask the first question.
Before I get to the first one, this is Linda's book, Dating Smart. That's the title of our show today, Dating Smart. So ladies, gentlemen, if you have a child and you are on the dating scene, I'm telling you right now, you're going to get some nuggets today. Dating Smart, 9 tips to transform your crazy dating life. Okay? All right. So let's go. Let's just
dive into the question. Come on, let's dive.
So Linda, are you open to dating or marrying someone who has a child?
I am.
Okay.
I would say yes, and it depends on their age, the child's age, for sure.
So why does it depend on the child's age?
Well, because my daughter is 17, so I'm about to be an empty nester.
Yeah, you.
And,
I got you.
My whole motto right now, I'm one and done. My daughter is grown. She can drive me around. She can cook for me. All that. She can do all of that.
Yeah,
and I'm just ready to kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm really ready to do my own thing. So I would prefer for him to either have grown children or about to be grown children.
Yeah.
Someone who they can, fend for themselves. But then I guess I would say also it would be a case-to-case basis.
Right.
Absolutely.
But going into it, he said he has a 5-year-old. I'd be like, ooh,
Yeah, I got you. That's a whole nother world right there.
Ooh.
I feel Linda on that.
See, that falls into our self-evaluate. When we did self-evaluation on the show a couple weeks
segment.
ago.
Yeah.
So that falls into self-evaluation. Know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Know what you want.
Yeah, not only know what you want, I think that's a great point, though, Linda, where you've already understand that your passion is no longer taking care of an infant to 5 to 10 to 15, because you're at a place now. Now, this is my famous word. Everybody know, pivot. See, you're about to pivot.
Yes.
My wife and I, we know what it is to be empty nesters and to pivot away from all of those hand touching of raising. And I appreciate you being honest and candid, because a lot of times what we do, we're not honest and candid about going into a relationship or what we really want. We may say it to ourselves, but we don't open it up and verbalize it. And then a lot of times we find up getting ourselves in it because we have accepted something that we really don't want. So the next question.
And before we go to the next question, let me just throw this in there.
Yeah, throw it in.
Even in this whole dating thing process, guys will ask, do you want more children? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm 99% maybe, maybe, but I'm more so towards like, no.
That's a great point, though.
So if he's on, like, he's 100% or even over 50% that he wants children, then I'm just letting you know that there's a possibility that I'm not willing to have your baby.
Yeah.
Now you have a 1% chance for me to have your baby, but there's only 1%, and that's very slim. But I'm like, really? No, I don't want to be a mommy. I don't, you know. And some guys will get up. I had this one guy. Let me tell you about this one guy.
Talk to
Tell
us.
us about the one guy.
Okay. This one guy.
Let's keep it real. Straight talk.
You know, we straight talk. This is straight talk.
So he wanted to have more children. He has a daughter. I think the daughter was like maybe 14.
Okay.
Somewhere around that age.
Okay.
And
Almost grown out the house.
Almost going out the house. I met him on Match because I was
Right.
signed up on the dating
I got
app.
you.
Okay.
And so I read his profile and he wanted more kids. So I was kind of hesitant at first to really engage in a conversation with him.
Right.
But we engaged in a conversation. And then after a few weeks, he did ask. He was like, so do you want to move forward with this dating thing? And I was like, no, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no to that because I know that you want more children.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this brother, okay, was not happy with my answer. Homeboy blew up. Number one, it was kind of late too. It was like 10:30. We were on the phone. Well, he was texting me first, and I was like, let me just call him
Right.
so we can have a actual conversation. And so he was like, what you mean you don't want kids? You said that you were open. I said, yeah, 1%. You said you were open.
1%. Come on, man. Do the math, bro. Do the math.
I said,
That's
yeah,
slim.
but he
So
was
that
like,
means God has to work a miracle.
yeah, exactly. A 10-figure miracle.
Right.
My man, he need to be
No,
rich.
that's right. Come on now.
And so,
Keep it
so
100.
I said, you know, I am open, but remember, I said 1%. And so he was like, well, what guy are you going to find that's this age and he doesn't want kids? I said, listen, bruh, number one, I'm 37. Okay. We're getting a lot older. I date older men, so he'll be around 42, around that age.
Right.
And there are a lot of guys out there who don't want children anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's the
And
no.
truth.
so, I mean, he just blew up. I was like, you know what? I'm getting off the phone. Have a good night. And I hung up the phone. Ain't never talked to him again. I was like, this dude is crazy.
Yeah, I think you know his
Because you have a right to feel the way you feel.
yeah here's the
You know what I
here's the
mean?
real reality about that though. As a guy, I think what happens too is that we have this imaginary list in our mind when we meet a woman that makes a statement of 1%. And I really believe, I'm not putting guys down, but I think you really have to be mature enough to say, you know what, let me hear her side and let me quiet my side and let me look at the bigger picture, because sometimes we don't look at the bigger picture
Right.
because we want what we want.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have these assumptions. And when you kind of just rolled over the assumption piece of his thought process, that triggered him to lose his mind. And I think, and I think another thing too though, Linda, I think being honest, one of the things that I really tell gentlemen that I mentor and I counsel, always be honest. Because honesty, even though it may pinch
Right.
or hurt, it will always have, in my opinion, it will always bring a healthy outcome.
Yes.
And I tell people all the time, if you're thinking about dating someone, be honest.
So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me if somebody comes to you and say, you know what, girl, I have to date you. You have to be in my life. They don't have any children, and they want a job.
Father God, in the name of Jesus.
Did you hear her? Listen, he making 7 figures. But see,
No, we making talk. You making seven.
we're making 7 figures.
It takes a. I want this lifestyle of being able to go to the beach when I want to.
Absolutely.
And so I want to hop on the plane.
Absolutely.
And if I can't take that baby and hop on the plane with me and take the nanny for that baby,
Right. Come on
then
now.
I hear you.
And those
She
for
said
me,
that's a deal breaker.
those are healthy
Yeah.
expectations, because sometimes we don't realize when we get to a place where we're ready to pivot
Right.
from having children. I don't want to take too long. I want to get to these questions. Our mental and emotional state also changes too. And let's be honest, in the hearts of hearts, you know what you really want
Right.
and what you don't want. Don't play yourself. We have a tendency of playing ourselves to settle.
Right.
And we'll let all these other outside influences, family, church, job, girlfriends, maybe your best buddy, starting to influence us to go away from the place where we said we taking a stand. Because pivoting to being an empty nester is a new, and for my opinion, is a new healthy arena of taking care of yourself. We're not going to not take care of our children that are adults or young adults, but it's a time for you to really reinvent yourself emotionally and mentally, and because when you are a mom or a dad and you made a decision to support their child or children to get them to be productive citizens or students, once you pour that in, now it's time for you to, okay, I got to reinvent myself.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to have that responsibility in that area anymore. And it's okay.
Right.
Let's move to the second
So
question.
what advice would you give somebody who is
that's a good
dating someone who has a child?
So, in terms of just being able to, again, you know, you hit it on the head in terms of being honest. So certainly being honest about your relationship with your child and what kind of relationship you want that person that you're dating to develop with your child.
Yes.
And then also you have to think about the other parent who that person is co-parenting with. So
You diving in.
a lot of factors go into that blended family, you know. So
Step family.
So you have to really, I would say, before you even jump into it, put out some sort of plan.
Yes.
Of how you really want things to go. And although things may not go verbatimly to your plan, you know, you have to be flexible, you have to be able to adjust. You still need to have some sort of plan of how you want this thing to look.
Absolutely.
How soon do you want to introduce the person to your child? Because when I date, I went on a hiatus from dating for a very long time.
Okay.
And I'm really just now getting back into it. I would say the last 2 years.
Okay.
And so when I talk with guys or communicate with them, many of them know I have a child, but that's it. You don't know her name.
Right.
You don't know how old she is. I don't need to talk to you about my child. Because I protect that, because there's no way that I'm not introducing you to my child.
Absolutely.
And my child isn't used to me dating. So now when I say, well, I'll be out, you know, late, she like, who you going out with? You know, what time you coming home?
And she become the mom.
Right, exactly.
The roles switch.
Exactly.
Yeah, the roles begin to switch.
So you have to, you know, you have to consider that, because you also have to consider your child as well.
Absolutely.
And how are they going to adjust to this? And what, I asked my daughter, I said, well, is it okay for me to date? She was like, no. And I was like, that's cute. Thank you for your opinion, but I'm moving on.
Right. And I think that's really beautiful, because what we talk about in step family, blended families, and I don't want to say I preach this, but I really advocate that you have to have not only a plan, but you have to make sure before you decide to allow your child or children to step into the relationship with you, is it serious?
Right.
Does it have traction?
That's the key.
Because if it doesn't have traction, my humble recommendation is that you don't invite them into your space and your child's space of safety. Because listen, let's keep it 100. We live in a world where we got a lot of nutsos out there that's on these different match.coms, these dating sites or apps, and listen, the dating sites and apps. Let me tell you something. They only ask for a certain amount of information. People they don't disclose stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, they use the imaginary NDA, non-disclosure agreement. You know, and they don't disclose stuff. And sometimes you don't find out about a person until after a year, maybe 18 months, what this person really got going on with them. But you got to make sure, again, to track the relationship to see if it's valuable enough through the time that you spent, and that the maturity. What I find out, you know, being a counselor, what I find out when I talk to young adults, women, is that most of the time they're dating someone that don't have a maturity level. And so they get excited and upset over things that has nothing to get excited and stuff, and then they lose it. They get the stress level go up, the pressure level go up, and it's something that's really not major.
Right.
But that's because what we do, we settle. We accept things because societal norms say we should be this age, we should have this much in the bank, and all these things. And it plays a role in dictating whether we're going to stand for what we really want to have in a dating relationship. And definitely, I'm telling you now, don't share nothing about your relationship with your daughter, your sons. If you're in a relationship with somebody that hasn't gained any valuable traction, don't let them know. Right. Don't bring them to your house.
Right.
Meet them at a lighted place.
And one of the chapters in my book is become friends first. And that foundation is so key.
Absolutely.
Where, it's important for me as the woman, you as the man, to establish what the boundaries are in this friendship. The word friendship today, oh, this is my friend, is used very lightly. So when I say that a guy is my friend, he's strictly my platonic friend. We ain't sleeping together.
That's right.
We're not flirting.
I gotta
We're not sexting. We're not doing those things that would be in a romantic relationship.
Wow.
And so guys get kind of leery of when I say, oh, this is my friend. No, this is my actual friend.
Yes.
Right.
And again, like I said, we're not dating. We're not holding hands. We've never slept together. So those boundaries are so important when it comes to that friendship. And I treat, whatever guy friend it is, I treat him just like I would a brother.
Right.
And so that establishing the fact that, we're friends. And when we start off at that level, then it helps eases things
Absolutely.
off. And you don't really complicate it. Now, I'm not saying that this is the model that I have followed, because I ain't going to sit here and lie.
Right.
It's not the model that I have followed.
But you chose this model, though.
Right.
You learned, and you chose.
Exactly. I learned from it. And so So some of my guy friends, my daughter do know about them because they are strictly just friends.
Absolutely.
And these are not guys that I've slept with, guys that I'm flirting with, guys that I'm dating, going out to the movies with, guys that I'm kissing, guys that I'm, doing whatever, it's not that.
Absolutely.
And so it creates just a better foundation in becoming friends.
Absolutely.
So I think about, let me say this real quick, babe. I think that the reality is that when you establish in the beginning that this relationship is going to be a friendship and establish those particular points about this is what I see. Here's my expectation of you being my friend as a gentleman,
Absolutely.
as a guy, and if you establish that and then you say, do you agree with that? Because see, I'm the type of person, do you agree with what we have established?
Exactly.
Because if you don't agree with that, I think it's going to be some muddy waters.
Yes.
And then, and so what would you say to young ladies that are young adults your age, millennial, 37 years old, and they have not established their friendship boundaries? And because what happens, see, I know why you said that, and I'm going to play the angel's advocate. The reason why you said that, because when you cross those boundaries, you cause things to be very confused. Between, if you cross and you have an intimate physical relationship with that person, really the friendship label is taken off. Whether he wants to be your friend or not, you have crossed into areas emotionally, psychologically, and physically that, I'm going to be honest with you, you really can't get back. You can't take it back, because once you jump in that deep water, that water's still going to be deep. You may get out of the deep water, but if you go back to that water, that area again, it's still going to be deep. So what would you tell young ladies that are struggling because they really like this person? In their mind, they really want this person to be more than a friend. And so they haven't established those friend boundaries. What would you tell a young lady?
You have to talk. You have to communicate.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to start off. And I'm going to be very honest and transparent. For 14 years, I was practicing celibacy.
Okay.
And then, along the way somewhere, I messed up.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, shucks.
Right.
What just happened?
Yeah.
Because I was really feeling this guy, really into him.
Right.
And the cues that I was getting from him was telling me that he was interested in me too.
Right.
And so to this day, it's still a mystery. I'm like, you know what? It's still a mystery as to what happened and why he, decided to go in another direction.
Right.
But one of the things that I did with that was communicate.
Okay.
As best as I could and as best as he would receive from me.
Right.
Because I remember calling him, I remember texting him one morning.
Okay.
And I had just gotten some advice from a friend of mine, my right hand. Like, I don't know where I would be without her, but my right hand, I just got some advice from her. I was like, this thing is on my mind. Like, it's really bothering me.
Yeah,
what do you say I do? And so she coaches me on being sweeter. Because I'm not as sweet as she is.
You just coming with the hammer.
Right, exactly.
You grabbing the hammer.
You raw, and you just say it.
Right.
That's it.
And she's like, you got to be much sweeter, Linda. Guys like the sweet. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to be tap into my inner sweetness or tap into yours and pull it from you. So she coached me on what to say. So I sent him this text message and I was like, and I was really sweet with it. I was like, ooh, that's good.
Go ahead, Dad.
All right,
Go ahead, girl, yeah. And so I said to him, basically, you know, kind of validating who he was to me. And I really still, it's true what I said to him. Like, you know, I value your opinion.
Right.
And there's something that I need some clarification on. And call me when you get a chance.
Right.
Now, I wasn't expecting him to call me like right away.
Right away, but
he called me right away.
Okay.
And I was like, oh shoot, what do I say? You know, kind of stumbling over my words and everything like that. But in that conversation, I was able to gain a little bit more clarity.
Okay.
And then after that, again, being transparent, I still felt like it wasn't enough clarity for me, or I still felt like those feelings were there.
Right.
So I decided to ask you, one of the things I've done for a long time since like 7th grade is journal.
Right.
That's so therapeutic to just
Yes.
sit down
It is.
and write out
It is.
all of my feelings. This time though, instead of just keeping it to myself, I decided to share it with him.
Oh.
Okay.
And so I shared it with him. You know, I got out all my feelings from the first time we met, all the way up until the time where I think I moved back to Maryland because I was living in Florida for a year and a half,
Right.
and then I came back. So, and one of the things that I said to him, although I didn't appreciate how he exited out of, you know, it
Right.
wasn't a relationship, but how he decided to move on
Right.
and didn't tell me
Right.
that he was moving on. I did say to him that, you know, you were able to rejuvenate the peace within me
Right.
that was gone out of my life for a year and a half.
Okay.
So I did, you know, compliment him on the things that he did for me
Right.
at that time in my life. And so I would say just communicate. Every which way that you can. You know that you have crossed those boundaries, and if you're not sure about something, the only way you're gonna figure things out is you're gonna have to talk to them. Because
Absolutely.
we can sit around, and this is what I do. I do it too much. Lord help me. My mind is just all over the place, and I'm sitting around thinking like, okay, well maybe he did this because of that, or maybe you know how we
You start playing ping pong in your mind.
and assuming stuff,
Exactly.
and then you come up with your own conclusion.
Do yourself a favor and don't even do
Right,
that.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because
So-
whatever is going on in his mind,
Right.
you know, number one, he wasn't willing to share it.
right.
So you have to question. Here we go. You have to question his feelings for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
and so
Like
with that.
because if everything was going fine, and then y'all, you know, and then he out.
Right. And
So
so,
was
I
that his
told
only
myself-
purpose? Was to
And so I told myself that I cannot sit around and assume anything.
no?
Yeah.
You
So,
cannot.
so communication, because it would drive me crazy.
That would drive you crazy. That would drive anybody
you
crazy.
You would
Yeah.
literally lose your
Yes,
mind.
you will.
Absolutely.
And it's not
Absolutely.
just over a relationship, over, well, if you're dealing with your boss, you're dealing with whomever,
Absolutely.
and you're going into assuming about it. So I would say just communicate just communicate. You have to get out there, and although you may be afraid or you may not want the answer that they give you, communicating is so important, and it's important
Absolutely.
to get your own self back.
Yeah.
And understand, because in all of that, I just had so much going on in my life, and I still do at the moment. I still had to tell myself that, you know what, I am not my mistake.
That's right.
And
That's
I am
right.
not,
You're not.
I'm not, people make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I can certainly get past this.
You can pivot.
I can forgive myself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
God forgives me.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The
moment you asked them.
Exactly. And I still have people around me that loves me
Exactly.
and know who I am.
Absolutely.
And can, you know,
Absolutely.
can still accept me for who I am.
Absolutely.
So
That's so
when
liberating.
when you tell yourself that is freeing. And so you don't depend on that other person to free you.
That's right.
But you
Yeah.
have to really, you know, look into yourself, your
Absolutely.
God, and say, you know what, God, this happened. God already knows what happened, but be like, hey, this happened. I didn't want this to happen. And then also take it from that. What am I going to do differently the next time around?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and make sure
Absolutely.
that you are educating yourself about yourself.
Right.
Let me break that down. A lot of times we're very brilliant about other things, but we become less intellectual about ourselves because we don't spend time learning ourselves.
Right.
We let things and situations, circumstances, and failures dictate us. But God said we're fearfully and wonderfully made.
That's right.
And I'm a component of this. I can't change what happened yesterday.
Right.
I don't care how much I take myself through the guilt, the shame, the regret. Yesterday situation and failure is still going to be yesterday's situation and failure.
Right.
So that's why I use the pivoting. And one thing I want to say as we move on, we must be willing to have serious conversations. See, the problem is when we talk about communication relationship, a lot of us are not willing to have serious conversation. We have these laissez-faire conversations because we don't want to touch on things that's going to cause maybe a little conflict, maybe a little friction. But I tell you, relationships grow when you have serious conversations and you keep those other things that are minute from abrupting the relationship and closure. The reason why things don't happen with most couples, we're not really ready to have a serious conversation about closure. And a lot of people don't want closure.
Right.
They want to keep bringing it up so they can have an attachment to you. But when you make a decision, I'm bringing closure to this because I'm going to do A, B, C, D. Be closure for yourself, too.
Right. And I think for me...
Well, I was going to say, and in some instances, there are some men who are into the chase. They're into the chase. Once they get you, they really don't know what to do with you. You know what I mean? Like, there's some guys, they are masters at the chase. But then once they get you, it's like, okay.
And then when they get that eloquent woman, both mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and not going to take your stuff, going to call you on your stuff. And I think a lot of times relationships fail, in my opinion, because we don't have a serious conversation, whether it's a male or female, and we don't want to move forward.
Right.
And a lot of times, let me say this so we can move forward, we still thinking we're dating our last boyfriend or girlfriend that was great or that wasn't great. And we have these images, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, of what that person is. That's how come people keep going back to the past when they get in a relationship. Because I know, I haven't dated for years because I've been married for enough years. But I was, before I met this beautiful woman, I was on the dating scene and I was frightened. And I'm over 50. But the stuff that was out there, the stuff that I was getting, plus I felt like I was an honorable gentleman because I respected women. And I love my single space. For almost 5 years, I'm not going to lie, I was sold out in my singleness. Not because I was better than anybody, but I like that time. I ain't had to have no conversation with nobody. I ain't had to buy, I ain't had to spend this. I ain't had to get up to do this. I was just like, man, if you're going to go work out, just work out for 3 or 4 hours. You ain't got to check it with nobody. But anyway, the next question, what inspired you? No. Being a Christian, do you find it's easier to date men who have your same beliefs or same aspirations based on your spiritual compass?
Yes and no.
Okay.
And I say yes and no because for me, because I'm really like sold on not having any more children, then I'm okay with dating someone who may be of another faith.
Okay.
Because we're not bringing any children into this relationship.
Okay.
And so I'm going to respect your faith, your denomination. But if I decided that I wanted kids, then I would strictly say, no, we need to be the same religion. We need to be the same denomination. And it's so many more factors of where we need to meet.
But even in that, even if you're one religion and he's another, if y'all agree to raise them in the one religion, you know what I'm saying? That still can work as well.
Probably, but I wouldn't chance it. Not for me.
Yeah, well, I think this question, this is kind of like an open-ended question because a lot of times
that's why communication is key.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, though, if you date somebody outside of your faith, let's not use religion because religion has a lot of connotations to it. What about your faith? I'm talking about now. Here's when I talk about faith. That you're not going to have sex with this person. Can that person handle that? For example, you're not going to drink alcohol.
Can they handle that?
You're not going to do drugs because. Let me say this, and I'm not putting that on nobody's faith, but see, one thing I've learned in the military, spending 32 years in, there's a lot of people that are in faiths, but they're not practicing that particular belief in that faith, and they have a large spectrum of what they do and don't do. Because I know guys was talking about, man, we were when I was in the Navy, we were underway. Listen, dude, I know you're a Christian, but man, we got some stuff down here, man. We go to, we can get hooked up. We can feel really, really good.
Right.
And it will take the edge off.
Right.
They were right. It would take the edge off. But what am I willing to give up?
Right.
And so when we talk about that, you got to be are you willing to give up your faith and your stand?
So in that, I look at it as values.
Okay.
In terms of what I want for myself. So
Absolutely.
With dating, when I go into it, I do let guys know. If I know that I'm interested in you more than just a friend, then I'm letting you know, hey, guess what? I'm not having sex.
Right.
I just want you to know that, so that he can make the determination of what he wants to do.
Absolutely.
Because that information I don't want to hold back.
Right. No.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't.
So I want to give him that information and let him, so he can make that decision of, okay, well, I'm gonna stick this in with you as long as I can, or I'm not, I'm not about it. And I respect them for that. You let me, these are my standards. You can take that. And
you know what? And the reason why I think that's a great answer. Another thing, Linda, and the reason why I even make this statement, because I have a tendency to counsel with people from all type of faiths. And I won't go into their faiths. And I ask them about their faith. Now, because I went to seminary, I had a chance to get religion's worldview. Took a couple courses on that, so I get an understanding of that. But the thing I feel strongly about is that we got to be careful what we allow in our space, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, because we don't know what this person may transfer. I know that may be blowing your mind, but people's spirits and people's attitudes and their attributes will jump off on you as the closer you get, or if you're spending time with this person. And sometimes you begin to imitate their behaviors and you don't even realize it because you spent that time with that person. And so making a stand for what you believe in and have your faith solid and be able to understand your value structure. See, a lot of times we talk about being Christians, but we don't hold strong to our value structure. I'm not talking about judging somebody because they go to this church or that church or believe in that, but I got to make sure my value structure, because I should be a part of you becoming some of the positive values that I have. I should be able to put them on you, not put them, but for you to gravitate towards them. But if I'm just like everybody else that said they this particular church and that, then I don't have a standard.
Right.
What I have is an open party line.
Right. And one of the things I talk about in my book is your negotiables and your non-negotiables.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What are your negotiables?
Absolutely.
What are your non-negotiables?
Great.
And you have to really actually make that list out. Like, okay, well, you know what? I'm willing to negotiate when it comes to height.
Right.
Or I'm willing to negotiate when it comes to income.
Right.
But I'm not willing to negotiate when it comes to the way that we settle disputes.
Right.
You cannot raise your hands at me. You cannot raise your voice, because we may be in that mug up in that fight. You want to raise your what? Oh, let's go.
Right. Keep it 100.
What are your negotiables?
Yeah.
What are your negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? So that's so important that each person establish that and determine what works for them, and then communicate that to the person that you're interested in.
Absolutely.
And you know why people don't establish that? I'm gonna throw this out there, because we're desperate. Let's be honest. When we're dating or looking for someone, because we see people on Facebook, we see people on Instagram, we see people at our church, they hooked up, they hugged up, and we sit there, and then we go to, we're in the wedding season now.
Right.
One of the things that causes that's I believe the spirit of desperation to go to a high level is wedding season, especially if you're not dating nobody and you in the wedding and you don't have nobody, and you see all those fine brothers, all those fine sisters that's looking good, and you sitting there. I'm sitting over here. I've been on the dating app for 6 months. I ain't really got a match, and I'm up in this place, and I have nobody. And then we become desperate, and that's when we begin to lower our negotiables. Great word. And we will give into anything. And we have to understand that if you're going to be great, greatness doesn't come when you devalue yourself and reduce yourself because of what somebody else is doing or what somebody is not treating you. And so I get passionate about this because my wife and I, we have our daughter Tiffany is married now, but I used to always talk to her as her dad. Basically not using the word negotiable, but what are you willing to accept? And like you said, putting your hands on, non-negotiable. talking ugly to me, non-negotiable. Treating me any kind of way, non-negotiable. Not being a gentleman, non-negotiable. Right. You know, and then we look at what's negotiable. And then what's negotiable has to be, in my opinion, has to have a measuring line. Because sometimes if stuff that you are allowing to be negotiable, people will take advantage of it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For sure.
So, this is lovely, but we want to make sure that we get into it. So, what caused you to? What inspired you to write the book?
So, I just wanted to give people, or share with people my experience, and to let them know, you know, what I did before writing the book and the motto, or I'm trying to find the word for it, the things that I used when it came to dating.
Your checklist.
Yeah, my checklist. Yeah. And so what worked for me. Right. So I share all of that in the book of what worked for me. And I'm like, I know that these things can work for you as well. So just having that desire, and then also, of course, having the desire to see relationships work, because it's like you hop from this relationship to that relationship.
Say that.
And you just hopping all over the place. And this goes for guys and girls.
Yes.
They're doing so much hopping. What, you a rabbit?
Physically, literally.
Exactly.
And we, on one of our shows, we talked about like giving yourself time in between each relationship to get healed, so that you're not bringing that past stuff into the new relationship. Because once you go from this one to that one to that one to that one, there's no time in between, no self-evaluation in between, you know. You end up bringing the same baggage.
Or even get counseling. Because sometimes you were so deep in a relationship, say for you've been in a relationship for 10 years. That's 10 years of invested heart, finances, mental, emotional, everything. You so dived in. I'll tell you this, if you've been dating somebody for 10 years and y'all broke up, take at least 3 to 5 years getting yourself together. Because what you don't realize is some stuff embedded in you that hasn't been triggered. And man, Joseph come by, nice guy, nice income, you know, treats you with all, honors your negotiables.
Joseph
end up, the moment Joseph burned the toast, you go back to whatever his name, Ralph's name. I'm just throwing names out. Ralph burnt the toast just like you and had the nerve to scrape it off and go hand it to me.
And Joseph looking at you like what I do?
Yeah,
what I do?
Exactly.
So like you kirked out.
Exactly.
That's an old word, but you kirked out.
Yeah. And that's true. You everybody needs that time to heal. And I love the whole self-evaluation. Yeah. And one of the things that I love doing is one of the things I love doing with that I incorporate into my own self-evaluation is that I'll hit up my friends who are close to me, who have known me for a long time, and I'll ask them their opinion. Can you evaluate me, basically?
Yes.
Because number one, I value your opinion.
Yes.
And I know that there are things that I do that I wouldn't necessarily see, because I'm in it. It's me.
And whether you like what they say or not, you know they love you. You know they have your best interests at heart, and you know they're trying to help you.
Exactly. So that's something that I always do. Always do. After, my self-evaluation, then I go to them, what do you think I was too hard on this? Or how do you see me? Or because I'm always about trying to improve me.
Absolutely.
To be a better me than what I was.
I gotta give you a hand clap on that one.
That's just me. And again, I could be that feisty person. I haven't always done it right.
Nobody has.
And
tell the truth.
So in this relationship, I could be like, the one who I can be very argumentative.
Right.
I can say that. And I want to get my point across. And you probably
always want to be right. You have that's maybe 2% seed.
Well, look,
they always want to be right.
I'm always right.
Okay, but we keep it 100. I love her for saying that, because she's being honest. And let me real quick. One of the things that you said, you said a lot of great things, but one of the things that you said that really jumped off in my mind is to have a support team.
Yes.
to evaluate you.
That's
See, a lot of
gonna
times
keep it
we're in
real. That's gonna keep it
relationships
real and
and we
honest.
broke in our
That's
relationship and we don't have a support team that's going to love you and be honest with you. Because guess what? People that really care about you are part of your development and growth and maturation of being your very best you. And see, we don't want to be honest with ourselves. And we need people to be honest with us that you trust and not going to come and attack you, but to give you constructive evaluation. I don't like the word criticism. It's constructive evaluation.
Okay. So, what's your greatest takeaway for you to just look in that camera and just tell people what's your greatest takeaway? What advice in your book is the greatest takeaway that you think everybody should know?
The greatest takeaway. Let me look at the book. I haven't read it in a while.
That's okay. She can do that. That's her book.
Dating smart. While she looking dating smart. 9 tips to transform your crazy dating life.
I would say fix yourself first.
Right now, fix yourself first.
Which is the first chapter. Fix yourself first. Become in tune of your background, the things that have helped you to become who you are, whether if people in your past have hurt you from mommy, daddy, sister, brother, your accomplishments that you've been able to achieve. So everything, looking at your life in its totality, and being able to say, well, I like this about me, and I want to improve this about me, and I know I have things to work on. So being willing to evolve as a person, as a whole person, as a balanced person, and all of that goes into fixing yourself first. If you need to go talk to a therapist, talk to friends, that good foundation, having that foundation, fixing yourself first, because really our relationships are only as strong as we are. And
that's powerful.
So we certainly need that.
Fix yourself first. And you know what just came up in my mind when you said fix yourself first? That may be a question in the first couple of dates. Do you have things about yourself, young man or young lady, that you need to work on so you can fix without my assistance right now?
Okay, so I'm going to go over the contents really quickly in Dating Smart. So, fix yourself first. Create your list. Become friends. Beware of flirting and flirters. Now, that right there sounds delicious. But anyway, get a life.
Yes, get a life.
Cancel your benefits. Hello. Practice purity. All right. Discover your coach. From date to mate. Now listen here. Now, see, from date to mate. Come on now. And a bonus tip on marriage. Conclusion. Hello, new me.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Listen, if you are single, you have
need
a
to get that
child,
book.
You need to get this book.
I want to tell you to get that book.
All right, so now before you even go any further,
I see right here,
honey.
I'm right with you, baby.
No, we're at number 7.
I see. What is your second book that you're working on about?
So I am working on another book, basically my dating life after publishing this. I published this in 2015.
Okay.
And at the time, I was not dating. Okay. So everything was based off of my previous relationship, which was eons before.
So before and after.
Yeah, before this book. In 2016, I did meet a guy who sparked my interest.
Right.
Because honestly, at that time when I met him, I had come to the point where I was very content with being single.
Right.
And I didn't want anybody in my space.
Right.
I didn't want that relationship. I didn't want to be married. And so I wasn't, during those 14 years that I was single, I wasn't entertaining guys.
Right.
I wasn't collecting numbers. I wasn't talking to guys on the phone. I was focused on doing me, my education, being a parent, my ministry, and my job.
Absolutely.
And so when he came into my life, I began to say, wait, maybe I want this companionship. Maybe I want this.
Yes.
You know, and so he began to change my mind, and you had me start thinking about stuff. Like, okay. And so I became focused on that. And so that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
Talking about my dating life after writing the book, because it certainly did not go the way that I thought it would go.
Okay.
And
awesome.
We spent a lot of times arguing, a lot of times. Yeah.
Okay. Trying to figure it out. Trying to figure it out. Okay.
Yes.
No, that sounds great. Real quick, I know we have about 5 minutes. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about you sharing this time with us is that you're giving people a fresh perspective.
Yes.
Number one, how valuable they are.
Yes.
Fix yourself. You don't have to settle for anything less. You
That's
don't have
right.
to assume. I think, and one thing I would tell you, my wife would tell you, I am not an assumer. I'll ask you the question. I can't assume that. 'Cause
Absolutely.
again, that thing will cause your brain to pop out your head.
Absolutely.
You know, but I think also too is that you gave us not only a fresh perspective, but you gave us a candid perspective of where you can go. Because I really believe that you need a spiritual compass, a moral compass, a self compass. Because if we don't know where we're going,
Right.
we're gonna end up anywhere.
Yeah.
In the dating game, in life. And I think a lot of times we have accepted being all over the place when it comes to dating. We go, you know, and these social media outlets.
And accepted bad behavior.
Yeah.
You know, people are allowing themselves to be abused
Yeah.
physically, mentally. Why?
And
Just to be in a relationship?
Yeah. But again, I think too,
God
though,
does not want that for you.
No.
God doesn't want that for you.
and
He
I
doesn't
think
want abuse.
also what you've also opened up to our audience is that you can be in a place and God pivots you to another place.
Absolutely.
To where peace and tranquility rules.
Yes.
Not chaos
Yes.
and craziness.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Indeed.
tell everybody
Where they
how
can reach
they
out to
can
you.
get your book, how they can get in touch with you.
So you can go on Amazon and get my book. It's on Amazon, and I am on Instagram, so you can come look me up on Instagram. My handle is L Living the Life. That's my handle,
Okay.
and you can follow me there.
Awesome. Listen, you know,
Living the life.
living the life.
L Living the Life.
L. Linda.
And I
living-
think
Linda living the life. L living the life.
Yes.
All right.
we really want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule
Yes.
to come on our show. One of the things that my wife and I love about our show is that we're so liberal and flexible. And yes, you could end up in a blended family if God sends you your Boaz. You heard me say this. Ladies,
Boaz.
don't deal with
Not
Bozo. Get your Boaz
That's
that
right.
maybe doesn't want any more children, you know, or maybe they have children, so you kind of will springboard into a step family, blended family.
And prepare yourself so when he finds you, I'm saying it, when he finds you, you'll be ready and he will be ready because God's going to be preparing you and preparing him. And when y'all meet, it should not be a hard task to start the dating process and
Right.
becoming friends.
That vibe is always key.
Absolutely.
And you'll know that vibe.
You'll know the vibe.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you
You'll know
something.
that
You better know it.
I'm a former basketball player. One thing I tell you, when the chemistry is right,
Exactly.
when the chemistry is right, ain't nothing but net, ain't nothing but going through the hoop, you know. And so
And another thing, ladies, please keep in mind, most people can fake the funk for a year. After that year, they kind of start, showing you some stuff that you ain't.
their
that
real
you ain't-
self.
Yeah, they show you that.
'Cause they will be true to
They
that
can
self.
mask for about a year.
The mask
After
comes
that,
down.
The mask comes down. Stuff starts. So don't be too quick to jump into the bedroom with them. Okay. I know Steve Harvey said, how many months did he say?
He
said 90 days.
90
He
days,
said
90-day rule.
He said 90 days. Okay, that's 3 months.
But that works for him.
but-
It may not work for you.
But I'm saying, wait till wedding night. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, I just think,
Become those friends. Become
I
friends.
think
Yeah.
being a friend.
Just work on that friendship because that communication, that friendship, that's what's going to endure in your marriage.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what you're going to fall back on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
Friendship.
and
Absolutely.
when you have a friendship, you really have a love friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love my friends. Now, I don't have a boatload of friends. Not because I don't want to have friends, but you got to choose your friends wisely. I'm talking about the ones that get inside. So, without that, we have been just thoroughly inspired, blessed by you coming on today. And we thank you again, my wife and I.
Yes,
We
thank
really
you.
appreciate you. And as we do this, we got a minute. You know we're going to pray. Anything you want us to pray about for you?
Life in general.
Okay. We're going to pray for life in general. Everything.
Relationships, certainly, since we're talking about dating.
Yes,
certainly,
okay.
Certainly that.
So what we're going to do, we're going to pray and then we're going to roll out.
Okay.
Okay? Listen, audience, thank you for tuning in to
Yes,
Straight Talk
thank
about the
you.
Blended Family. I'm Doc D.
I'm Michelle.
And we are the Mangums. Let's have a word of prayer. God, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for Linda D. Lowe,
Yes.
your inspiring daughter that you have allowed us to partake with on this day. Bless her book, Dating Smart, and her next book.
Yes.
Bless her life in dating, God, that you will lay your hands upon the situation.
Yes, Lord.
Strengthen the audience, whether you're male or female, dating, that they will make the right choices. In the precious name of your Son, amen.
Amen.
So we're still live for a moment, but listen, I know this show. Please share this show. If you're on Facebook Live, share this show, comment. If this show inspired you, if it opens you up to see dating from a different perspective, please share it. Because guess what? We are trying to help everyone to be encouraged, equipped, and empowered to date smart. Thank you again for tuning in. We are excited about our next show. Stay tuned. The month of May is going to be off the chain. Ladies are coming in.
We have a guest for each show. So next week we have Xenia Smith. The week after that we have Lisa Brown Alexander. The week after that we have Debbie Brown Harris. And then to close it out we have Denacia Sally. And these ladies are all phenomenal. They're all doing their thing.
Yes.
And we are just grateful. So
Yes.
till next week.
Tune in. Thank you again. So Linda, this has been fabulous.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
And you, I'm glad that you came on.
Well, it's that time to end the show, but we've had an absolute blast.
Please come back and check us out on next Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30, to where we will share some more insights on how the blended family can rise. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. Peace be upon you.